Well, hello and welcome to the online Medicare webinar. I'll be your host today. My name is Matt Mitchell. I'm with Midwest Medicap, and I'm very excited today to be able to talk to you about everything you're going to need to know about your upcoming enrollment onto Medicare. Now, I know Medicare can be a scary and confusing thing, and so my job here in the next 60 minutes, okay, I promise I won't go longer than 60 minutes, but my job here as your Medicare coach or advisor, whatever you want to call me, my job is to get you the facts of everything you're going to need to know to make a well-informed decision when it comes time for you to start your Medicare. A lot of the confusion out there, and believe me, there's a lot of bad information out there that you find online or you hear from friends or family. Just a lot of bad information out there, a lot of confusion. So I'm going to do my best to clear all that up for you today so you can feel good about your decision. Whatever it is that you make, you know you made that decision based on a proper education and not just because your cousin or your neighbor said, well, I went with such and such company and they work good for me, so you should do that. That's not the best way to go about it, right? We want to make an informed decision because your situation is different than the other person who lives down the road from you, or your relative or neighbor. Everybody's situation is different. So we want to make sure whatever we choose to do, it's based off of, hey, this is my situation, what's important to me, and not what somebody just told me to do or a TV commercial I saw. It's not the best way to go about it. So without further ado, let's dive in. Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. First, if you have a pen and paper handy, have that. Take some notes as we go along. There should be a chat window as well. If you have any questions or as we go would like to ask a question, feel free to chat that in. And then also stick around till the end if you can. Try to be somewhere where there's no distractions. At the end, I'm going to give away 2 free bonus items as a thank you for you sticking around till the end here. It doesn't really make sense for me to go over those bonus items up front here. I want to get through the material first, and then we'll talk about those bonus items that I know is going to be very helpful for you in your Medicare journey here. So stick around till the end for those. I'll talk about that in more detail. But let's go ahead and get started here. I'll do a little introduction. If you don't know who I am or Midwest Medicap, if you maybe you've seen us on TV or online, but if you haven't, my name is Matt Mitchell with Midwest Medicap. I was born and raised in a small farming community in southwest Iowa, Greenfield, about 60 miles southwest of Des Moines area. Been doing this since 2008. So I've been doing this a while. We've helped thousands of people all across the country. So whether you're watching this from Iowa, Florida, Texas, Arizona, Colorado, Michigan, Ohio, we represent or are licensed in almost all states across the country. There's a few that we're not, but if you are watching this, it means we are licensed in your area. So we have a headquarters in Des Moines and in Arizona, and then also you can go on our website to learn more about us if you want, midwestmedigap.com. You can read up more there. So how many of you received a phone call solicitation about Medicare? So I'm sure a lot of you on this, if you're coming up on 65, you've probably gotten multiple phone calls, and a lot of you get multiple phone calls a day about insurance companies, insurance agents trying to sell you a Medicare plan. It's gotten really bad the last couple of years. I hope they do something to crack down on that. As far as I know, nothing is in the works, but I know people that they get 8-10 phone calls a day. So I know that is super annoying. just try to block them if you can. Don't accept those calls. Don't talk to them. They're just trying to solicit you and sell you a plan, and they don't really have your best interest in mind in most cases. So just steer clear of those phone calls. Don't answer them. Block them. That's the best we can do for right now. How many of you have a mailbox that is filling up every day of Medicare solicitations? Seems like every insurance company these days is sending you out mail, trying to get you to go with their plan. Again, annoying thing that's going on. The good news is for you, you can take all that mail, throw it all into the trash can. You're going to get to know everything you need to know on this webinar here today. So you can throw all that stuff away. You're not going to need any of it. So what we'll cover today, the 4 parts: Part A, Part B, Part C, and Part D. All right, we'll talk about those. Now, there's 2 main choices that you're going to have to make, and I want you to focus on that. You're going to choose to do either a Medicare supplement plan or a Medicare Advantage plan to supplement your Medicare, okay? And so we're going to talk about those in detail, and then we'll talk about Part D, which D stands for drugs, so prescription drugs, and then we'll talk about important enrollment dates. When should I sign up for this? How do I avoid penalties? And things like that. So let's first start with the foundation. The foundation is Part A and Part B. That is original Medicare. Okay, it consists of 2 parts, Part A, Part B. Part A is hospital. There's no premium for that. Part B is doctor. Okay, Part B is doctor. There is a monthly premium for that. Most of you will pay $174.70 a month for Part B. I say most of you because that is dependent on your income. So it could be higher than that for some folks. So this chart here talks about based on what you reported on your taxes, whether you file individually or jointly, it shows you here what you will pay for your Medicare. Now, for those of you who file taxes jointly and your income is $206,000 or less, then you're going to pay $174.70 a month. If you're making $210,000, you file your taxes jointly, well, then you'd be moved up into the next bracket, which then you'd pay $244.60 a month, and then it keeps going up from there based on your income. So that is something that's what they call a Part B IRMA. Okay, now we can possibly, so if you see yourself that you're paying a higher charge here than what the standard rate is, there's strategies that we could talk about to help you maybe pay a little bit less. Okay, so that's a whole nother conversation for another day, but you can book a call with us and we can talk about that if you happen to fall in that category. Just keep that in mind for later, that if you do want to book a call, we have advisors on staff that can help do some advanced planning there for you on that. Okay. Now, if you're currently receiving Social Security benefits, you are automatically enrolled into Medicare. Nothing you have to do. You're going to receive your Medicare card 3 months before the month you turn 65. Okay, so your Medicare card, it's going to look like that right here. If you can see that in the background, it's a red, white, and blue card. So you'll get that in the mail. So that's a one piece of mail from that previous picture. Don't throw that card away. If you get that card, keep that one, okay? You're going to need that. That's your Medicare card. Very important. So don't throw that one away. The rest stuff you can throw away. And they're going to take the $174.70 for Part B. They're going to take that automatically out of your Social Security check each month. Okay, so if you're already on Social Security right now, this part's taken care of for you as far as the Medicare enrollment, so you can be happy about that. Now, if you're not on Social Security, what you need to do is you will need to manually enroll into Medicare. So how you're going to do that is you're going to go to Social Security website, ssa.gov. There's a spot on the website, it'll say apply for Medicare. You click that, there's an application you fill out. you're going to need to do that 3 months before you turn 65. Don't do it any earlier. They're not going to let you, okay? 3 months before you turn 65 is the earliest that you can do it. Okay, so that is your timeline for that. Now, since you're not taking Social Security, your Part B premium, they're going to bill you. Okay, you'll get an invoice in the mail. You can pay it quarterly, or if you want, you can set up automatic payments with them when you get that. It's called auto pay, easy pay. You can just have it come out monthly automatically out of a checking or savings account if you'd prefer to do it that way. If you don't want to go online and apply for Medicare, you can call them, or you can go in person to the Social Security office and have somebody help you do it. Your coverage begins the first day of your birthday month. Okay, so my birthday, July 28th here, my Medicare would start July 1st, the first of the month. Okay. The only exception would be is if anybody on here has a birth date that falls on the first of the month. So if your birth date is July 1st, then your Medicare would actually start the month prior, which would be June 1st. So anybody on here has a birth date the first of the month, just know that your Medicare would start the month prior for you. Now, a lot of you watching this are still working. And a lot of you probably are planning on working past 65. That seems to be very common these days. So let's talk about that, because I know that's where a lot of the confusion comes from. So Matt, I'm gonna be working past 65. I have employer insurance. Am I gonna be penalized? What do I need to do? The answer is, well, what you need to do depends on your situation. If you're planning on working past 65 and you have employer coverage, well, then you can stay on that and just delay your Medicare. And there won't be a penalty that you'll have to pay for delaying Medicare. Okay, so you want to confirm this with your employer, but for those of you who have employer coverage considered creditable coverage, you can delay your Medicare and then turn your Medicare on whenever it is you decide to retire or you lose your employer coverage. All right. Now, one thing, a lot of people just assume that since they're going to be working past 65, they'll stay on their employer coverage. You can obviously do that, but don't do that without first running the numbers, because I'll give you an example here. A lady we just spoke to recently, she said, well, I'm still working, so I'm just staying on my employer coverage, but gosh, it's expensive and the coverage isn't very good. I wish there's something better. I said, well, did you look to see what Medicare and a supplement plan would cost you? She's like, well, no, I didn't even consider that. So we found out she's paying about $600 a month for her health insurance through an employer, and there was a $7,000 or $8,000 annual deductible. Well, she was able to go off, so she just opted out of her employer insurance and she took Medicare and a supplement plan. So she's like, well, I'll just keep working, but she opted out of her employer insurance and did Medicare. So that was a way better deal for her. It cut her premium in about half and got her way better medical coverage. So we can run the numbers for you or crunch the numbers. Let's do a comparison. If you're happy with your employer coverage and it's great coverage and it doesn't cost you hardly anything, by all means, there's no need to probably even consider Medicare. Just stay on that as long as you can. But for those of you who are paying maybe a couple $100 a month or more on your employer insurance, well, then we probably want to talk and do an analysis for you and see if we can, if Medicare makes more sense than the employer coverage. And everybody's situation is going to be a little bit different. So, what we can do is book a one-on-one call and talk about that. And then we can decide from there which option would be best for you to do. Now, this slide is for people who are planning on delaying Medicare and taking Medicare after age 65. Okay, so let's fast forward. Let's say you stayed on your employer insurance and now you're 68 and you're retiring. There's two forms you're going to need to fill out. It's the L564 and the 40B. These are the forms that are going to allow you to delay Medicare without penalty. Okay, the L564 form is proof of employer coverage. So they're going to say, well, why didn't you take Medicare at 65 like you're supposed to? And you fill out this form that says, hey, I've had credible coverage this whole time. That's why I didn't take Medicare when I was first eligible. Now that I'm 68 or whatever age, I'm taking it now. And here's proof that I had coverage that whole time. And then therefore, you will not have a penalty for delaying Medicare. Okay. And then the 40B form that just says, hey, I want my Medicare to start on this date whenever my employer coverage is ending. Same deal, you'd want to do all this 3 months before the month of when you want your Medicare to start. And we can provide you these forms, or they can be found online. But keep in mind, these forms are only necessary for those of you who are delaying Medicare past 65. If you're going to be taking Medicare at age 65, you don't have to worry about these forms, okay? Now let's talk about the major exposures to original Medicare. So if you just have original Medicare and no supplement or advantage plan to go along with it, here's what your coverage would look like. It's not bad coverage, but there's some exposures here that you got to be aware of. So for Part A, for the hospital, you have a $1,632 deductible for each hospital stay, a daily copay after 60 days from $400 to $800, and then you also have a skilled nursing copay as well that you'd be responsible for. For Part B, for the doctor coverage, you have a $240 deductible for the year. Well, that's not bad. But then you have a 20% coinsurance. That is bad, because essentially what that means is you're on the hook for 20% with no limit. Okay, so whatever 20% of the bill is, you're responsible for that. Those are the costs that can get extremely expensive. And that's why it'd be really scary to just do Medicare by itself and nothing else, because of that exposure right there. You know, that could be a major medical exposure that you'd be responsible for. And that's where the supplement or advantage plan will come into play here, is to help pick up these gaps in coverage, okay? So let's talk about the two. We're going to start talking about the Medicare supplement first, okay? So this left-hand side on the screen, original Medicare Part A and Part B. And then you're going to pair that with a Medicare supplement plan, which is also termed, you hear the term Medicap plan. Medicap and Medicare supplement mean exactly the same thing. It's the same thing, just different words, okay? So don't get that confused. Medigap means Medicare supplement, vice versa. And then you're going to pair that with a Part D drug plan, okay? So you have a separate plan that will cover you for your drugs. So let's talk about that in more detail here. Essentially, you have your original Medicare, your Medicare card, and then you'll have a supplement card, and then you'll have a separate prescription drug plan card, okay? So you have 3 cards. When it's all said and done here, we're going to focus on, we've already talked about original Medicare, so now let's talk about the Medicare supplement or Medigap plans. We got a whole chart here of plans to choose from. Why they have so many plans, I don't know. It's the government. They like to confuse us. But I'm going to try to make this simple for you here to understand. We got all these plans, but nobody purchased any of them except there's 2 that people purchase. There's only 2 that make any sense, okay? And that's Plan G and Plan N, all the way on the right-hand side here that you can't really see because my screen's in the way. But let's look at Plan G first. Plan G is the most popular plan, and you can see highlighted in green here, if we go down the chart, you have 100% coverage except for one spot here. And that's your Part B deductible, which is the $240. Okay, so with Plan G, your only exposure is $240. If you go into the hospital, it's 100% coverage. You don't pay anything. All right, Plan N is very similar. There's 2 spots with Plan N that are not covered. So let's keep focused on Plan G here, okay? And I'll focus in on this a little bit better. So again, if you end up in the hospital, 100% coverage for Plan G, right? Your only out of pocket is this $240 deductible. That's it for the whole year. So once that deductible is met, you can go to the doctor every day for the rest of the year. You're not going to pay anything because you've already satisfied that deductible. That's why Plan G is the most popular plan. It's easiest to understand and it has the best coverage. Okay, you're not going to find a better coverage plan than Plan G right here. And that's probably why it's the most popular plan. Now, Plan N is very popular as well. In fact, I think each year more and more people are looking at Plan N as a great option because it's very similar to Plan G. You still would have 100% coverage for the hospital, and then you still have the $240 deductible for the doctor. But then after the deductible, you have a copay of up to $20 per office visit or a $50 copay for the ER. So most people who have had employer insurance, they're coming off of that, they're used to copays. So a $20 copay for a doctor visit, it's no big deal, right? So people don't really care about that. So Plan N is very popular and I'd say growing in popularity each year. It also does not cover excess charges, Part B excess charges. Probably sounds scarier than what it actually is. All it means is if your doctor does not accept Medicare assignment, then there could be an excess charge of up to 15% of the bill. Very rarely, if ever, would occur. You'd have to go see a doctor who doesn't accept Medicare assignment. There's been studies that show that 96% of doctors, possibly even more, all accept Medicare assignment. So if your doctor accepts Medicare, then you know there's no excess charge and nothing to worry about. So to my knowledge, all our clients on Plan N, none of them have had an excess charge ever. So I don't even know that it exists. But it is possible with Plan N, so just be aware of that. But it'd be very rare, and you always know ahead of time if your doctor accepts Medicare or not. If they do, then there's no excess charge. Okay, so some key points to understand about Medicare supplements. Say, Matt, I think the G or the Plan N sounds good to me. When is the best time to enroll into one of those plans? The best time to do it would be as soon as possible, which that would be 6 months prior to the month you're turning 65. Okay, there's a 6-month window that they give you to apply. Say, Matt, well, why would I apply 6 months ahead of time? Your coverage obviously wouldn't start until you're Medicare eligible, okay? But you apply 6 months ahead of time because it does a couple of things. When you apply, it ensures you get the best rate. Okay, if you apply 6 months ahead of time, the supplement carriers, they have the right to raise their rates whenever they want. If you apply the earliest time possible, that will ensure you get the best rate instead of waiting until the last minute to apply. Most likely, or there's a good chance that the rate would be higher than if you did it 6 months prior. Okay, so that's always a possibility. You avoid mistakes, right? Again, if you're waiting until the last minute to do something, you might make a decision that isn't in your best interest, or you made the decision without the proper education, and you just saw a TV commercial and said, well, I got to pick a plan. I'll pick this plan. You don't even know if it's the best one for you. And then the main thing too, just check it off your list, right? Everybody worries about Medicare and picking the right plan. Well, if you know you want to do the G plan or the M plan or whatever it may be, you know that 6 months ahead of time, just apply and get it off your plate, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore, right? That's the big thing. Just do it, check mark it, you're done, and then, hey, it's off your shoulders, off your plate. You get back to doing the stuff you want to do. Another key point, the plans are standardized, so you might want to write this part down. The plans are identical, okay? So a Plan G with Company A is exactly the same as Plan G with Company B. Same for Plan N. Okay, by law, the coverage is the same with each company. There's no difference in the coverage. The only thing that can be different is the price that the company charges you. Okay, so that's the one thing where you want to be aware of. You say, hey, I want to do Plan G. Well, then what we do is we go shop the market for you, and out of all the 20 some different plans, 20 some different companies, we'll find you the plan or the company that's going to give you the best rate for that particular letter, whatever you choose. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's the letter that dictates the coverage, not the company. Okay. So the next question is, well, Matt, what's the cost of all this? How much am I going to be paying for these supplement plans? The Plan G, for most of you, no matter where you're located across the country, most of you we can say around $100 to $150 a month. In most locations, the Plan G, that's about what that's going to run. Some areas it'll be a little bit more, but generally most states it's $100, $150 a month, give or take. It all depends on the zip code of where you live. For Plan N, you can say about $20 or $30 a month less than Plan G in most areas, so $70 to $130 a month on average. And again, that depends on the zip code that you're in. But the reason Plan N is a little bit less is because you have a little extra cost sharing on Plan N where you have that copay, where Plan G does not have the copay. And if you live in Minnesota or Wisconsin, they do it a little bit differently up there. They don't call it Plan G or Plan N, but it's called like a basic plan. So it's an a la carte option. Basically what we can do, we just build you a look-alike plan for Plan G or Plan N. So I don't have time to get into all that. If you live in Minnesota or Wisconsin on this webinar, just know that we can build you a Plan G or Plan N. So the concepts are all the same. It's just they label it a little bit differently, but we just build it out for you to make it the same. Here's a list of companies that we work with. You probably heard or seen some of these companies. We work with all the major companies that you've known and have heard of, and then a bunch of other ones you probably haven't heard of as well. So we're independent, so we represent over 25 different companies, probably more than that, but that's just a list of all the ones that fit on the screen for us. So which supplement plan is best, Matt? Which one is best for me? Well, the answer is that depends. Like I said, Plan G is the most popular one. But, the word best it's kind of like, well, what's important to me? My grandmother, for example, she says, hey, man, I want the plan that's going to give me the least out of pocket. I don't care if I got to pay more for it. I want no surprises, least out of pocket possible. She'd be a Plan G person. Some people say, well, man, I never go to the doctor. I don't mind a copay. Well, then you're probably a Plan N person. So everybody's different, budget wise, and then risk wise. So what plan is best depends on who you are and what's important to you. So we've talked about Original Medicare. We've talked about the Medicare supplement. Now let's talk about the prescription drug plan part. Okay, this is called Part D. So Part D, our process on how this works, for your drug plan, we would get a list of the prescriptions that you're taking, okay, and then your pharmacy that you go to. And then we'll plug in all those drugs in the pharmacy, and then there's a bunch of different Part D drug plans out there, and our software system will spit out which drug plan would be best for you to go with. Okay, and then we can reevaluate your drug plan each year in the fall. Excuse me. It's October 15th to December 7th is the annual enrollment period. So this is a time where you can make changes to your drug plan if you'd like. So let's say your medications change throughout the year and you want to reevaluate your drug plan for the next year. This would be the time to do that, and then that's something we can help you with each and every year if you want to review that. But basically the drug plan, it has a few different stages to it. I'm not going to bore you with that tonight. We don't have the time to do that. But basically what you need to know with your drug plan, most of your generic medications are going to cost you little or nothing. Okay. Worst case, you're going to pay a small copay depending on the pharmacy you go to. Now your name brand drugs, they're going to have a higher cost with those. And I really can't give you any information on that unless I know what particular drug you're talking about. But what I can tell you for this year, if we look at this stage here, there's going to be an $8,000 limit, annual limit on your drug costs. So if you are somebody here that's taking a bunch of expensive medications right now, the good news is you'll be capped out at $8,000 no matter what drugs you're taking for the year. So that's a welcome change. And then for next year, this is getting even better. For next year, 2025, you are going to have, again, I'm blocking this on the screen, but it's going to be capped out at $2,000 for the whole year. So those of you who are taking some expensive drugs, it's a welcome, amazing change here that's going to be taking place in 2025. And even if you're not taking any expensive meds right now, something happens to you down the road, you can feel great about knowing that your financial situation is not going to be wrecked because you had to take a super expensive medication. $2,000 a year is going to be your worst case scenario moving forward into 2025. So we have a website. It's called searchpartd.com. You can go on our website and plug in your medications on there, and it will tell you what your drug costs would be. We can do it for you as well, but you can also go on our website. And then if you do not sign up for a drug plan when you're first eligible, there's a 1% penalty for every month you could have had coverage but elected not to enroll. Just get a drug plan. Even if you're not taking any drugs right now, a drug plan is going to cost you little or no monthly premium. Okay, so it's so inexpensive. Just get a drug plan. Then you don't have to worry about late enrollment penalties. And this is our website I was talking about, searchpartd.com. You want to go on there, plug in your medications. It will tell you what each one would cost. It's a self-enrollment website, so if you find a drug plan on there you like, you can go there, fill out the application, you can self-enroll. We can obviously help you with it too, but if you just want to do it all yourself, you're a self-shopper, go to our website. You can do it all right there on our website. Again, that is something you can't do until you have your Medicare card, so don't try to enroll until you're 3 months out from when you want your Medicare to start. And then this just gives you a recap of everything. So we talked about Part B. That's going to be a premium for you. Plan G or Plan N, obviously those have a premium with it depending where you're located. And then your prescription drug plan is going to be anywhere from $0 a month on the low end to, if you're taking some more expensive drugs, $35 a month or so is what your drug plan could cost you. But that gives you a general idea right there of what your costs would be looking at. So maybe you're on employer coverage right now and you're trying to compare, well, what's Medicare going to cost me compared to my employer coverage? Well, this gives you the numbers right there and gives you a good idea on what you'd be looking at cost-wise on a monthly basis. All right, so that's original Medicare. Now let's go down the other side here and talk about Medicare Advantage. Medicare Advantage is what you see advertised on TV all the time, probably all the stuff you're getting in the mail as well. This is becoming everybody's marketing Medicare Advantage now, okay? And this is what everybody's trying to get you to do. And it's also what they call Part C, okay? So if you hear the word Part C, it just means Medicare Advantage. It's an alternative to original Medicare. So the attractive part about these plans is there's little or no monthly premium associated with them. So you still have to pay for the Part B, the $174, but then there's no or low, very little premium after the Part B. So most of the plans have no monthly premium. But you do have a network, okay? So you have an HMO, PPO network, so you do have a network of doctors that you will have to go to with these plans. Your healthcare provider will build a Medicare Advantage plan instead of Medicare, okay? So, you go in the doctor, you're going to show them your Medicare Advantage card, whatever company you have, and they're the ones running the show, not Medicare, okay? So they're in charge of everything. They have a yearly limit on what you're going to pay out of pocket for services. So I'll talk more about that here in just a minute. And there's different companies that offer the plans. I'm sure you've heard of all the companies, the Aetna's, United Healthcare's, Humana's, etc. A lot of these plans, the other thing that's attractive with them is they offer additional benefits. You hear this on TV or you get the mail that says, hey, you get a gym membership, transportation, right? You get rides to doctors and, free rides to wherever you want to go. Dental, vision, hearing is included with them. Over-the-counter benefits, you get so much money a quarter that you can use towards purchasing Band-Aids, vitamins, things like that. And then your prescription drug coverage is all included in the Medicare Advantage plan. So that's what makes them very attractive, is you get all these benefits under one plan. Now, let me tell you about some of the downsides to Medicare Advantage, because if they were perfect, then everybody would just do a Medicare Advantage plan. So some reasons why maybe you don't want to do an Advantage plan is the networks, okay? If you don't like to be told where you can and can't go as far as doctoring, a network can be a bit of a restrictive thing for you, where you have to go to a certain network of doctors with these plans. The plans can change annually, okay? Your doctor could be in network one year, but then the next year they could opt out and say, we're no longer in network with so-and-so facility. So you might have to change doctors or change to a different Medicare Advantage plan. Pre-authorization, you may have seen this on the news or heard about this. It's becoming a bit of an issue. The insurance company is the one that has to approve or has final say. So, for example, let's say your knee's been bothering you. The doctor says, we'll do a knee replacement. Well, the insurance company, whoever you have your Advantage plan with, they're the ones that have to approve that decision. So your doctor could say, we need to do a knee replacement. But the insurance company could say, well, no, we're not going to approve that. So they may say, well, we think you can rehab it. And then so they deny the procedure, and then there is an appeals process that you can go through and get it overturned, but it can be a bit of a headache to have to do that. So that is a downside to the Advantage. There is a maximum out-of-pocket of up to $8,850 on the Advantage plan for the year. So we talked earlier about how if you just have original Medicare, there's a 20% cap, or 20%, 20% coinsurance with no cap. Well, the Advantage plan here would at least put a cap on that for you. Okay, so that'd be your worst case scenario. And this varies by location, so not everywhere is going to have a cap like this. So again, this is very dependent on where you are located across the country. So some areas have very low out-of-pocket maximums for the Medicare Advantage, and some areas are a lot higher than others. So again, location dependent here on that, but at least this is where the Medicare Advantage plan puts a cap on your exposure. So it's better than nothing than just if you had original Medicare. At least now you know that if you went this route, then hey, this is my basically maximum for the year that I would have to pay out of pocket. So some key points: make sure your doctor is included in the plan before signing up for the plan. So we can help you do that. But we want to make sure your doctors are all in network. And then the one thing, and this is something you want to write down: you can't change to a supplement plan with pre-existing conditions. Okay, this is something you're not going to hear on the TV commercials. You're not going to get this in the mail. This information, nobody really tells you this, but a lot of people think that, well, hey, I'm healthy now, I'll do the Advantage plan, and then if I got sick, well, then I'll switch to the supplement if something comes up that I need to have surgery or something like that. And I'm telling you right now, that's not going to be possible for you to do, because Medicare, let me rephrase that. If you're on an Advantage plan and you want to switch to original Medicare and a supplement plan, you'll have to go through underwriting. They're going to ask you a few health questions. So the people like to think, well, if I got sick, then I'll switch to the supplement. Well, you can't do that because you won't qualify the underwriting. So you'll have to stay on the Advantage plan. So when you're making your decision initially, you have the option to do whatever you want, whether it's the Advantage plan or the supplement plan. So make that decision with this in mind, that if you did get sick down the road, you can't necessarily switch to the supplement, okay? So that's very important to understand and know. And nobody else, like a lot of people don't know that is the case. So that information, it's not even in the fine print. Nobody talks about it. So I've just seen it happen so often where I've talked to people who are in their 70s and they went on the Advantage plan because that's what everybody is telling you to do now. But just be aware, if you choose that route, this is a potential downside to that, is if you ever want to switch to a supplement down the road, you can do it, but you just have to be healthy enough to change. And a lot of people want to switch over, they can't qualify because of their health. So, and this is just an article that came out here recently that talks about people, Americans feel trapped in Medicare Advantage plans, right? So they saw the TV commercials. They got a mailer about all the benefits of Medicare Advantage, and so they say, hey, this sounds good, I'll do this. But then what happens, so this is from the article, this person discovered that they signed up for an Advantage plan. So mean a limited network of doctors and the potential need for pre-approval or prior authorization from the insurer before getting care. The experience, he said, made getting care more difficult, and now he wants to switch back to traditional government-administered Medicare. So back to original Medicare and a supplement. But he can't, and he's not alone. Enrollees like Timmons who sign on when they are healthy can find themselves trapped as they grow older and sicker. It's one of those things that people might like them on the front end because they're low to zero premiums. And if they are getting a couple of these extra benefits like the vision, dental, that kind of thing. Christine Huberty, a lead benefit specialist supervising attorney for the Greater Wisconsin Agency on Aging Resources. So this is coming from a government official in the state of Wisconsin. But it's when they actually need to use it for these bigger issues, Huberty said, that's when people realize, oh no, this isn't going to help me at all. Okay, this is a official from Wisconsin telling this here. The problem is that once you get into Medicare Advantage, if you have a couple of chronic conditions and you want to leave Medicare Advantage, even if Medicare Advantage isn't meeting your needs, you might not have any ability to switch back to traditional Medicare, Myers says. So, there's lots of articles out there that talk about that, but I just wanted to make sure you are aware of that when you're making your decision, because these people are finding out after the fact, which is unfortunate. They didn't have this information with their decision when they first made their decision. Otherwise, obviously, they probably would have made a different decision here. So just be aware of that. All right, so a recap comparing the two options: Medicare supplement plus prescription drug plan. Your coverage, you're going to pay a higher premium, but you're going to have a lower out-of-pocket exposure when seeing doctors and hospitals. Your network, well, Medicare is your network. You have the freedom to go wherever you want to any doctor in the USA that accepts Medicare. No referral needed. Dental and vision. Dental and vision is not included on the Plan G or Plan N, but you can add it on as a rider to that. Okay, so it'll come with an additional cost, but you can add on dental and vision to your supplement plan if you want. And then Part D, obviously you choose a separate prescription drug plan. The Medicare Advantage, you're going to pay little or no monthly premium, but then if you do need care, obviously your out-of-pocket exposure is a little bit higher there. You have your network, your HMO, PPO network of doctors. Unless it's an emergency situation, then you don't have to worry about the network. Dental and vision is included with the plans, and Part D is included with the plans like we talked about. And then we talked about, the prior authorization situation there with those. So if you like predictability, my advice would be to do the supplement plan. That's going to be steady Eddie for you. There's no surprises there. Guaranteed renewable. So also, you don't have to really review that every year. The supplement part, it will automatically renew each and every year for you. The benefits do not change. So each year you kind of just set it and forget it. And the only thing you really need to probably look at each year is your drug plan if your drugs change. But other than that, it's like out of sight, out of mind. The Advantage plan, the cost can vary, and you probably just want to keep tabs on that each year. If there's any changes, you might want to change your Advantage plan, or just make sure that it's still the right plan for you each year, because those benefits can change annually. All right, Tricare VA. If you're watching this, you have Tricare or VA. There's plans that are designed specifically for your situation. I don't have time to get into that today or on this presentation, but just know that especially if you have Tricare, there's some Advantage plans that they designed specifically for your situation that you could use as a backup. Whether you have VA or Tricare. Book a call with us and we can talk about those. They're specific, again, to your area. They have some really nice perks with those plans. So just book a call with us and we can talk about your situation if you want more information on that. Don't have time to get into it here on this. There's a couple myths out there that I want to just talk about and get out in the open. Myth number one, I must have to pay a fee to use a broker and get help with all this. Okay. The truth is we charge no fees of any kind for our services. Okay. So I just compare it to like if you were to go purchase home or auto insurance, right? There's no fee or anything if you go to someone to purchase home or auto insurance. Same thing here. There's no fees or anything that we charge. Well, nobody works for free, so the insurance company must charge a higher price if I go through a broker like you. That's not the case. You'll pay exactly the same price whether you use our help throughout this process or just do it all alone. So there's no middleman fee or anything that we charge. It's exactly the same pricing that you would get if you just called the company directly or signed up on your own. So the insurance companies are the ones that pay us. They pay us directly for us educating you and helping you with the process. So if you get paid by the insurance company, you must have a bias towards one company or the other. Truth is, we have access to over 25 companies. We don't have any bias towards one company over the other. Our loyalty is with you, okay? If we do the right thing for you, then you're going to be happy. And then if you're happy, then you might send your friends and family or neighbors over to us. And then, obviously that helps with us. And that's how we keep our lights on and pay our employees is by these insurance companies. They pay our office, but we don't have any bias for one company over the others. Nobody's saying that we have to write so much business with X company. We're completely independent. So our job is to get the right plan for you, no matter who that company may be. Okay. So we talked about that. A big thing I like to tell people is, don't take it from me. Google Midwest Medicap. You can take a look at all the reviews that we have online. And so if there's any skepticism or you aren't sure on how your experience will be by working with someone like us, just take it from the other people that have already worked with us and notice how relieved they are and happy they are with the process. So I think that'll speak a lot more than me telling you. You can go see it yourself there. So who is our team? So it's me, myself, obviously, and then we have a team of licensed and trained experts who know all things Medicare for you. So everybody's super friendly. They have a passion for helping people, and they provide expert help, especially when it comes to drug costs too, with finding the best prices on drugs. Again, if you're not sure, you can Google us and then look all the testimonials up, and you'll see that everybody has a great experience working with us. The other areas of expertise that we have, a lot of this goes hand in hand. So for those of you who are thinking about retiring here soon, we have fiduciaries, planners on staff here that can help you with the retirement aspect. We mentioned the Part B surcharge earlier in that chart. If that's going to be you or you fall in that category, we have folks that can help develop advanced strategies to possibly not, maybe we can't get you to avoid all of it, but some of it, okay? And in the future too, this, just because you're not in that bracket now doesn't mean you couldn't be in the future. If maybe you got an inheritance or took out a big withdrawal from a retirement account, okay? People don't think about that. So we have a team on staff here that can help you with planning in those areas. The other big thing is too, Medicare does not cover you for long-term care, okay? Do you have a plan in place for that? My grandmother's in the nursing home right now. Thank goodness she had a plan. Otherwise, you know how expensive the nursing home is these days. I don't have to tell you that. But have a plan in place. We have experts on staff that can help you with that. You don't have to figure this out all on your own. If we do a great job for you on the retirement part and the Medicare part, but then you don't have the long-term care part buttoned up, well then that could just waste all the time you spent on getting the other areas figured out, because obviously that could lead to a large expense if you are exposed there. So we want to make sure we have, obviously this is a Medicare presentation. That's first and foremost. We get that figured out for you. But you also want to have these other areas buttoned up too, and make sure you have a sound, full retirement picture and retirement plan. So if you have questions in these other areas, we have a team that can help you. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now we're to the end of the presentation. Okay, there's 3 phases to a successful Medicare retirement, and phase number 1 is to get educated. And so you have just completed phase 1 with today's presentation. You got yourself the proper education. Phase 2 is where we're at right now. So phase 2 is where you can schedule your free one-on-one consultation with us. And what we'll do is we'll discuss your specific situation. Everybody, like I said earlier, everybody's situation is going to be different based on your zip code. I don't have time to go through everybody's situation here, obviously, on this presentation. But now is where you should see a gold phone over to the right or below, depending on where you're watching this from, if it's on your computer or phone. But if you look over to the right of the screen or scroll down below if you're on your phone, you should see a gold telephone pop up if you haven't already. You click that gold phone and then you can schedule yourself your one-on-one consultation. So go ahead and do that right now, where we can address any questions that you have. And in that phone call, I mentioned earlier that there were 2 bonus items that I wanted to get to you. Bonus item number 1 would be your personalized Medicare roadmap, where it's your step-by-step action guide. And then bonus item number 2 is your Medicare cost summary report. It'll outline your total monthly cost based on where you're located. So, everybody's prices are different with G and N depending on where you're at. It will explain to you what your pricing would be in your area. So I printed off a roadmap of kind of what it would look like, your report. So you can see it'd be customized for and have your name there. And then it would just tell you everything you'd need to know or all your costs about your situation. Okay. So I printed this off. We don't mail, so don't ask me for a hard copy in the mail. We don't do that. Okay. We'll email this to you, and then if you want to print it off, you can print it off. But we don't mail hard copies, okay? So I get asked all the time to somebody, can you mail me a hard copy? Like, we don't do that. So we'll email it to you, and then if you want to print it off from there, you can. But that will be a helpful resource for you for not only now but down the road. If you want to have that roadmap, keep it handy. It will tell you everything you need to know. So we'll put that together for you. But again, we can only send the roadmap report to you from a phone call. So don't ask, hey, I don't want to do a phone call, just send me the report. It doesn't make sense for us to do that because the report is customized to you. So unless we talk to you and ask you a few questions about your situation, otherwise we'd just be sending you a generic report that wouldn't make any sense because it's not customized to you. So the reason the report's valuable is because we customize it to your situation. So click the gold phone if you haven't already, and then schedule your call, and then we can go over your report with you. And then while you're scheduling your call right now, I want to talk about phase 3. You get your free lifetime billings and claims service with us, okay? So we're not just going to help you with the enrollment and then you never hear from us again. We will stay in communication with you throughout the year. If there's any important updates on Medicare legislation, changes for the following year, we will keep you up to date on that so you know exactly what's going on in the Medicare landscape. And then if you do want to review your plan on an annual basis, we can help you do a review each year with that. And then down the road, if there's ever an issue or something comes up, doctor's office, they send you a bill maybe you weren't expecting, you can call our office and we can work with you and help you get any issues taken care of that come up. So we'll always be a phone call away if you need us for anything, any questions. You'll have access to our phone, email. Customer service is very important to us, so we want to make sure that you're not only taken care of initially, but down the road, if anything changes, we'll be here to assist you in the future. So that's it. Hopefully we got your questions answered. If you had questions throughout the chat, if we didn't get those answered, be sure to book a call. So there's a couple minutes left here. Go ahead, if you haven't already, click the gold phone, schedule your one-on-one consultation. Our team cannot wait to speak with you. Like I said, they're very friendly staff. They love to help people. So if you are planning on working past 65 and you know you're going to stay on your employer plan, there's probably no need to book a call. Obviously, if that's what you're going to do, no need to book a call for that. But for the rest of you, go ahead, book your call. We'll talk to you, answer any questions that you have, and we're here to help. So anyway, we can be a resource. If you know anybody else you think would find this webinar helpful, please feel free to reach out to us. I'd be happy to share it with them, or I can send you the link that you can share it with them. And we want to help as many people as we can get this information. So that's it for today. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me. And I can't wait to hear from you or talk to you on your one-on-one calls. So thanks, good night, and God bless.